And as with all of our meetings, we'll share the slides and the recording on our website and with you after the event takes place. Usually we try to get it on by the following day, the end of the following day. So it'll be on the website and sent out to you then. Yeah, and it's after 1 and we've got a note taker so we can get going.
All right, great. Okay. Oh, and then our Google stuff has changed everything around. So this is our agenda and there's more. Maybe we're just keeping it mysterious. And we've hidden half of the agenda. But we do have some more 2022 planning and then resources that we'll talk about at the end of the meeting. So we're going to close out 2021 annual meeting and closing out some of the last programming for the year. And then we'll talk about 2022 and some dates, which reminds me, if you are a calendar person, we have calendar dates for most of 2022 already, or that we're planning to share with you guys. I'll probably pull those out and email those in a separate email as well, but you could also use your phones when we get to those slides and take a picture of them if you want to get those on your calendar right away today too. Just giving you fair warning on that. So running through the annual meeting by the numbers, we had 691 total registrants, 475 were virtual, 216 were in person, 106 speakers, there we go, 106 speakers, 128 different sessions, which included the 15 field sessions, and we had 44 of our 48 chapters represented, which is incredible. We have recordings available post-event, and website is accessible to both in-person and to virtual attendees. So if you get questions from your members asking do I as an in-person attendee have access to the recordings? Yes, absolutely. But they have to use the website version, not the app version. And I tried to clarify that in the follow-up email to all attendees. If you need some additional wording, I can send you that email again as it kind of clarified that. There is one issue with the recordings that I'll talk about here in just a second. I think it's on the next slide that we're still working on with the IT team at CVent. And I hope to have more information. Our meeting with them is at the end of this week. Chapter members logging AT hours. We'll have an AT credit report available. And I'm still working with the IT team on how to pull that from the CVent platform, where you as an attendee can log in and download your classroom session, that all of the sessions that you attended. So you could have a very easy kind of plug and play into your AT VMS report. But we're having issues with them. I haven't been able to figure it out. We have a meeting at the end of this week with them to work on that, as well as the recordings. And the question and answers and all of that from those sessions. And then we kind of ran through the major events on this slide as well. I think we shared this slide with you guys during the first president's meeting. So recordings. Same thing, recordings will be available post-event for 90 days. Our event website will stay active for 90 days. At that point, we're going to download those recordings and put them onto YouTube. And then we'll share those direct links with our chapter leadership for y'all to disseminate at that point with those attendees for those sessions, if they want to watch them after 90 days.
And just to make clear that the recordings are available for registrants. So you had to have registered for the meeting and able to have access to the recordings.
Yes, thank you. And like I said, there are known issues accessing some of the recordings where it says your schedule is full, you cannot register, this session is full. We've tried to troubleshoot it, and I feel like I'm going to break it the more buttons that I try and push. And so their availability at the earliest was late this week. And so we've scheduled a meeting with them to run through how to fix that issue without me pressing all the buttons and making it go boom. So as soon as I have that from the CVent team, I will share that with you guys and with all of the registered attendees for the session. We'll send out one more email. We also know that there were issues with many of this very first sets of sessions that happened on Friday morning at 8 a.m. And there's nothing we can do about some of those audio sessions at this point. But it was definitely a learning experience as we went through those couple of hours. We did adapt, and sessions that are later on in the conference have much better audio quality on their recordings. So unfortunately, we can't do anything at this point, go back in time and fix those settings and turning things on and off. But just ask for patience and grace from your members if they have complaints about that. And let them know that we are aware that those were an issue. Okay. Logging hours. The Gideon Lincecum chapter has me on their listserv, and they put out this email the week before the annual meeting, and I thought it was a really well done, kind of very simple step-by-step for things to keep in mind when logging hours from the annual meeting. So I copied their information, and we've put it out here. It's on the emails for all of the registrants. We sent this out to all registrants last week or week before now, but it's here again, and a great resource for you to use with your members if they have questions about how to log hours. Michelle, I'm going to keep going until you stop me. Okay, annual meeting financials. We did this with you guys or with those chapter presidents last year at last year's chapter presidents meeting that happened after the annual meeting, if you were in leadership at that time. And I think it's something that we'll continue to do with our chapter presidents for kind of financial clarity of what happens with our annual meeting. We have, as I mentioned earlier, we had 691 total registrants. Our gross income from registration was $121,537. Our plus the two forms of sponsorship that we received both online and from mailed sponsors. I got the final bill from the hotel this morning. I've only asked for it every day, every hour of every day for the last 3 weeks.
Mid-morning this morning.
Mid-morning this morning. So I am just now going through the final bill. I anticipate being able to get that complete before maybe right after the holiday break for Thanksgiving. And so I'm hoping to be able to provide you guys with a net report of our annual meetings proceeds at the December 2021 President's meeting. And as a reminder, we talked about this, but any net proceeds from the annual meeting get immediately reinvested into next year's annual meeting contract and registration offset for the calculations for next year's conference. And then Virtual Nature Venture, they had 130 plus registrations. The Cross Timbers chapter has decided as a board to donate the full amount from the proceeds of that event. So $2,500 will be donated to the Master Naturalist Program annual meeting account, the workshop account. And that will, I think they sent this morning, they're going to email that to us next week or so. So a big thank you out to the Cross Timbers chapter again. The chili pekin plants, $200 was raised from that as well. So thank you again for them. Okay.
There's a question in the chat about the annual meeting. So Emily asks about our meeting sessions being in the VMX. Did our membership chair need to add the annual meeting advanced training to the list, or was it automatically added? It was not automatically added this year, but I can't remember. Did we have a advanced training annual meeting advanced training set up as a statewide opportunity? Do you remember?
I don't remember. I don't know.
I'll check into that.
Okay.
So then sorry to interrupt.
This is Betsy. Anyway, they can report. Like your chapter can set up annual meeting opportunity, advanced training opportunity, and then they can report to that. When they report, they would put in the narrative which sessions they attended. they don't have to do it every single one, by every single one, just do it one annual meeting item, and then they can report which sessions they did to that.
Okay, so you all didn't automatically add that annual meeting to our drop-down list in VMS.
We
That's
can't
what I want.
remember. I will look.
Okay, I don't see it right now looking at VMS, so I just wanted to make sure.
Okay, I'll check on that right after this meeting. Sorry. Yeah, typically Betsy asked, isn't there a state meeting opportunity for it? And typically there has been, but I'll check into that from our VMS team and see if it's been shared with all of our chapters. But you can still report either way. Either we set up one opportunity and share it with all the chapters, or your members, you can set up an opportunity at your local level, and members can report to that for your chapter.
Excellent. And if you need a list of those members from your chapter who registered for the conference, I can send you that as well. Just email me with that request. Okay, so moving along with annual meeting, one of the things that we'd like to pause and ask you to share some feedback with us is topics that we had at this year's annual meeting, the session topics. What were the topics that, if you attended, or those that you've heard from members who attended from your chapter, what were the most memorable topics? And then if they were so memorable that you would like to nominate them to be moved into the TMN Tuesdays statewide training category, where we invite that speaker, that topic to be a program for next year's TMN Tuesday events, then we'd like to hear that feedback as well. Does anybody want to share some of that? The young student who talked about plastics in the environment, Mabry Miller, she was fantastic. Our science fair winner. Yeah, laws and ethics would be a great TMN Tuesday. Okay. If there are other topics, it's been a very long, 4 weeks since the annual meeting, and I've definitely slept since then. Slept a lot, caught up on a lot of sleep that I didn't get before October. If you want to share that with us post-event, or ask your chapter members for their favorite sessions at the annual meeting that they want to nominate to move up into the TMN Tuesday category of presentation, we can definitely do that. All right, send those to me. I saw a note in the chat asking about how to pull the attendance reports for AT reporting. So I have not sent that out yet because we are still working on that from the CVent IT team, but we have our meeting later this week with them. There will be a way, I will send an email out to all registered attendees of the annual meeting with a step-by-step guide on how you can log into your account on CVent, and you can pull an attendance report that says Mary Pearl attended this session at 8 a.m., this session at 9 a.m., this session at 10 a.m. And I can do that for all of the sessions that I logged into and that I attended. If you were an in-person attendee and you didn't log into a session with your phone, I did not have the we didn't have the technology to scan you in. You had to self-scan in. But I'll clarify that in an email that I will send out to everybody after our meeting later this week with them. Good feedback. And then kind of wrapping up 2021's annual meeting, the last couple of requests that I've gotten have been for where can we find information about the awards that were given out during the annual meeting. And we have the contest awards on our website now, and that link is there. Michelle, if you can grab that and drop it in the chat so that folks can see that. You can go down that list. It's a very long page, but I tried to add different tabs and buttons so that you could jump to the sections that you were interested in quickly. And then just giving recognition once again to our chapter advisors who won, Matthew March, and the team award, Johanna and Tanya from the Balcones Canyonlands chapter. Okay, I'm going to keep going until Michelle stops me, or y'all have questions in the chat. So shifting from 2021 annual meeting, again, there's a few closeout things on 2021 annual meeting that I still owe you. I owe you that I will be talking about again next month. I'll talk about the net finances after I review the final bill this week. I will send you, you as chapter presidents, and then all of the registered attendees, the step-by-steps for how to pull your attendance reports. And then also the recordings issue that we're having. Once I get that clarified and figured out from the CVent IT team, I'll send out that note. So you've got 3 outstanding things from the 2021 annual meeting still from me. But moving into 2022, we've already started to shift our focus and think towards next year's event. Hopefully you have this on your calendar, October 20th through the 23rd. I also encourage you, if you are starting to plan your fall training class for next year, please include these dates in your fall training class announcements and try not to schedule any events, training meetings, required chapter presence meetings over that week or weekend to allow all of your members to attend, both new training class members and current members to be able to attend next year's meeting. We are going to be at the Omni Houston Hotel. If you're from the Houston area, it was previously titled the Omni Galleria. There's only one Omni in Houston now, and so it is just the Omni Houston Hotel now. And then some considerations that we talked about this on Thursday at our meeting, but now that you've had a little bit of a breather from the structure, I'd love to hear from you guys if you liked having the president's meeting on Thursday at lunch. If you like to have, if you'd like to kind of realign the meeting timeframes back to our kind of typical time frame where we were Friday to Sunday versus kind of Thursday through Sunday morning. Okay. And y'all can unmute if you'd rather unmute than text.
There's just a couple of questions. Do you want me to moderate those for you now?
Sure.
Hold on, I'm jumping now. Many people are saying they liked the starting on Thursday with the president's meeting, and then the kind of the soft start with a meal on Thursday evening. We have a question from Emily about the endowment fundraiser. With regard to the endowment fundraiser, how much does that raise versus the virtual nature venture? And so can you explain maybe the 3 different things we have?
Yeah. And so I'm gonna go back a few slides just so that I have that in front of me. The traditional annual meeting pre-COVID had essentially 3 different funding mechanisms happening. There was the annual meeting registration and operations of the annual meeting, and that is our annual meeting workshop account. The second is our silent auction that typically was hosted at the annual meeting, and that also fed into the annual meeting workshop account. I call it the workshop account because that's what it's labeled on my system. But that also filtered in and added the ability for the Master Naturalist program to offer, we've offered financial aid in the past for chapters. We've offered scholarships in the past for chapters to send members, and all of that was from the proceeds of the silent auction at the annual meeting traditionally. And then the third event that has happened traditionally at the annual meeting pre-COVID was our endowment or our fundraiser. We had the gala in 2018 and we had the sunset cruise in 2019 up in Rockwall. So 3 different things, 2 different kind of accounts. The silent auction in 2020 was replaced with virtual nature venture, and there was no endowment fundraiser in 2020. There was no endowment fundraiser in 2021 either. We have focused our attention away from the endowment fundraiser events to really be able to give all of our attention and focus to hosting these two kind of new styles of annual meeting. We want to have an endowment fundraiser type event again, especially as we go to Houston and we move, away from COVID, hopefully, and all of the additional time that takes to make those planning considerations. So in 2022, I could see us having the annual meeting with all of its things, some sort of associated fundraiser to give us that flexible funding for travel scholarships, like a virtual nature venture or a silent auction again, whatever that looks like. And then also a endowment fundraiser event. And we're open for ideas on that. Did that help to cover it, Emily?
I think so. So just to be clear, like the virtual nature venture and the traditional silent auction, those both kind of offset Master Naturalist programs, right?
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Mostly annual meeting.
Annual meeting. Mm-hmm. But in 2022, if we've got kind of a little bit more flexibility and less COVID considerations, it'd be great to have an endowment fundraiser again, a gala or a sunset cruise kind of event where we host something separate registration, a little bit more schmancy, so to speak, endowment-y. So any suggestions, ideas that you have as you're thinking about 2022, please share those, and we'd love to consider those. Okay. And then the big question about 2022 that I get every single day is, are we going to go hybrid for the 2022 annual meeting? I don't know. It depends. Isn't that the classic answer? It depends. We have 12 more months of COVID. We have 12 or of post-COVID, hopefully, of global pandemic shifts. We have 12 more months of technology development. We have 12 more months to kind of walk through all of this. I anticipate, and I would hope, that we're going to be able to keep some of our events virtual hybrid. I thought it was a great thing to be able to live stream our awards and have our awards presentations available to a huge range of people. I don't know if every single session is going to be virtual next year like it was this year. A lot of that's going to depend on all of those nuances to the meeting as we get closer. So as your chapter is starting to think about 2022 annual meeting, again, we'll take feedback as you've got it, but know that I don't have an answer for that question. Are they going to go hybrid, and are they going to have a virtual attendance or in person only next year? I don't know.
We haven't even got the bill from this year yet.
Yeah, I just got the bill.
Just got the bill from this year.
Oh, that'll be, yeah. We'll take, and what we wrote on here is that we'll take the best and the most economical parts of this year's meeting and last year's meeting and make those decisions moving forward. And we'll keep you updated as we make those decisions throughout the next 12 months too. Any questions on annual meeting? I think this is my last annual meeting slide. Yeah. What do statistics for participation look like per chapter 2019 and 2021? I haven't looked at that specifically. With 671 registrants this year, it was actually right on our 650 kind of average for the annual meeting. We just shifted where folks were attending. We had
it's the same every year. I mean, wherever the meeting is held, obviously more the chapters that are near there, the higher the attendance. The further away a meeting is held from a chapter, the less likely the attendance. Overall, we always typically have 90 to 92% of our chapters attending. So, I mean, it looks chapter-wise, number of chapters-wise, it looks the same every year. The composition of members from chapters, that changes every year depending on where the meeting is held. So it's hard to compare year to year, you know, by chapter, year to year, year over year. But the number of people attending has stayed constant for the most part every year. Last year with 2020, with everything being virtual, that was obviously higher. We had over 1,100 that
Yeah, we
registered.
had all of our chapters
Yeah.
last year.
So, I mean, hasn't been, you know, in some respect, there hasn't been a lot of change in that, but then when you get down to look at where the meeting moves to each year, that there's change within that.
Thanks, guys.
Welcome. All right, so keeping on time, I'm going to keep moving. If y'all have more questions about annual meeting, feel free to drop those in chat and we'll come back to those at the end of the session. Okay, so closing out 2021. Michelle, I'm going to keep going unless you want to take over some of these slides. I know there's some at the end that you've got earmarked for you. Some of our final dates for 2021, we have the president's meeting today. We have a TMN Tuesday after the holidays.
Interesting.
Huh?
Change the slide.
I did.
Oh, it hasn't changed yet.
Do you see 2021 final calendar dates?
No. I'm
What?
still in 2022 annual meeting.
Okay, I'm going to stop sharing. Oh, and my Zoom is frozen. So this is great. So what are you seeing now?
Still 2022 annual meeting slide with the Omni Houston.
Okay. I'm going to have to leave Zoom because it has crashed.
Okay, there it finally changed.
It's changing. It's changing.
2021 closeout slide.
Mhm.
And
See
it's just
2021
doing-
calendar dates.
Not yet.
Yep.
No, it's taken all of my Zoom away from me.
Uh-uh.
Oh my God. Hey, Michelle, I don't know what else to do besides leave Zoom, and I don't know if you can grab host or not.
Are you able to give me sharing permission?
No, I haven't. I've got nothing. Got
Oh,
nothing. Like I can't even, all of the clicking is, I've locked it.
okay. And it says, yeah, I can't even grab it.
You what?
I can't even grab it. Go over the slide, I can pull it up from. Okay. I can put some things in the chat here. Well, if you wanted to try, will it dump everybody if you leave?
I don't know.
Yeah.
No. Okay,
I
so
think-
we'll talk through the rest of these, send you the slides. I'm gonna dump some, copy and paste some dates into the chat here. Going over the final 2021 calendar, which was our next slide, and we're talking about the 2021 closeout.
Okay,
November
I'm
15th.
gonna quit my Zoom and see if I can come back in. If it dumps everybody,
We'll jump back in.
can you guys all just jump back in?
Yeah.
So see, we'll try to see how far we can get. November 15th, we have our next chapter president's meeting. or I'm sorry. That's today. Today is our chapter president's meeting. Our next one is going to be December 13th. And we would like all of our outgoing and incoming presidents for the new year to join in on that December 13th meeting. So everyone's invited. Both your old and new presidents coming in. And the same thing with advisors. If your advisors are changing with the new year by chance, usually they don't, but sometimes they do. We'd like your
Am I here?
okay. Yes, but we kind of lost. I hear you and okay, everything's back now.
Oh, good.
There you go.
Oh, man. Okay. So
So you want me to keep going?
keep going.
So our next their next item in 2021 that's coming up is not the next item, but another item is December 14th will be our final TMN Tuesday of the year. And we have Steve Hall from Texas Parks and Wildlife, and he will be talking about the future of conservation. Will it look the same? And I mentioned that all of the chapter presidents exiting and incoming are invited to the December meeting. And if you could advance the slides. As we mentioned, Steve Hall will be our next TMN Tuesday, December 14th meeting. And he will talk about the future of conservation, will it look the same, and what our agencies, what we're calling the R3 recruitment, retention, and reactivation plan looks like, and how master naturalists fit into that puzzle, or can be a piece of a part of the pie in that. So be sure to join us for that. And as with all of our TMN Tuesdays, they're all recorded and then made available. Our master naturalists can watch the recordings for advanced training. And those are all on our website. We know that all of you have elections coming up, or maybe you've already had your elections for November, but November and December are typical elections months for chapters. And that your changeover will be, or you'll be planning for your changeover of officers for the new year. With that, we want a little bit, we talked about at the annual meeting, some of our chapters that have board retreats and what that makes those successful. So we believe that these board retreats are, they're essential to the operation and planning of a meeting. And so we want to hear from your chapters again. Which chapters do have board retreats, and what do you cover during your board retreat? And you can go ahead and text chat that or come off mic and tell us.
I believe that this question is also being posed on the Slack channel and is open for discussion there as well, if folks wanted to drop resources on the Slack channel.
And then while you're thinking of that, I wanted to mention, as your chapter leadership changes for the new year, if you could help us communicate with the correct people in the chapter for the new year and update your leadership list in VMS. And I've put a screenshot there. Gary Poole happens to be the current president in the Alamo area chapter. And so Alamo area chapter is at the top of the list. So I've grabbed an example from them first. So in the user defined tabs of the VMS, under the TMN officer committee, and you can see it grayed out there. It's the item that's grayed out there in the group on the left. And if you'll go by person and select what position they're filling. This is where we grab the lists of leaders for each chapter. So be sure to fill this out. And then also at the bottom, there's leadership service history. So you can preserve some of the history of your previous year's leaders for the chapter in that area as well. And we mentioned earlier that the incoming 2022 chapter presidents are invited to the December 13th president's meeting along with you.
Yep. And then there have been 2 requests in the chat to get added to the Slack channel. And so I'll do that. Nancy and Johanna, I've got you on the list to invite. Okay. Michelle, you want to keep going?
Yeah, so we felt like we needed to cover the training policy, the interim training policy, and let you know again that this training policy will be in place for the upcoming year as well. So this was adopted and put into place for January 2021. In 2022, we anticipate it being the same. So certification requirements will not be changing. But we're asking chapters to plan and anticipate shifts, adaptations, and innovations in the new year again. Our basic training policy will continue to be the temporary policy, where we will allow for pre-recorded basic training sessions with required follow-up Q&A, live Q&A by the same speaker. We will allow for all 40 hours of planned basic training hours to be scheduled and done and completed in this manner. We're encouraging this to be used minimally or only as needed, and that chapters can move fluidly into an in-person. We're encouraging you to plan for and maybe anticipate moving fluidly from in-person training to kind of a distance-based training as required by your local conditions. And we are also encouraging either neighboring chapters or regional chapters to collaborate on basic training. And I've already heard that Central Texas is a Goodwater that is collaborating on one of their upcoming trainings, holding a joint training, 2 chapters holding a joint training together. So that's a good option as well, and a good example. The advanced training temporary policy will allow for pre-recorded advanced training sessions with follow-up from a live live Q&A with speakers by the same speaker. Hours will count for both watching and the interaction with the speaker will count. So basically the advanced training policy isn't changing again for 2022, and it's staying the same for 2020, rest of 2021. What's not allowed is no fully recorded videos and videos without speaker interaction. And as always, the goal here is to allow group discussion with speakers where Q&A happens in a group setting or audience setting for full audience and group learning.
All right, and I dropped the link to the chapter documents page where this 2021 policy is updated and the 2022 policy as well.
Okay. And so something new that we haven't told you yet is that we will be having available the through grit and distance pin this year, so our COVID pin. If you remember 2021, we had the service against all odds through grit and distance, and we will be having this as an award again this year too, for 2021. As with last year, this is for members who have logged at least 8 hours of advanced training and at least 1 hour of volunteer service. So presidents, get with your VMS coordinators and your kind of membership coordinators, and you've got about 5, maybe 6 weeks now for to get members to attain at least the grit and distance pin for this year. Get them to get their advanced training hours in if they're close. This is something that can kind of help push them over the edge of attaining a a milestone or an award for this year. And again, this award has to have at least 1 hour of service reported. Something very easy for them to do is to be able to watch any and all of our TMN Tuesday events on the website. Our we have over 12 of those available, or will have by the end of the year. So our Master Naturalists can get all of their advanced training hours just by watching the TMN Tuesdays on our website. And then to get this pin, again, you just have to have at least 1 hour of volunteer service. It's because we know, again, this past year, obtaining service had its difficulties in certain times of the year and in certain areas as well. Doing the math, running the numbers on these, we have, as of the beginning of November, a little under 3,000 of our members had already attained these stats for this year. So we've got about 6 weeks left, 5 to 6 weeks left to push our members to get towards this level for the rest of the year too. I will be mailing packages. So at the end of February, early March, we'll be pulling the numbers from our VMS and preparing packages, shipments to go out to each of our chapters with a list of your members who have obtained these specific milestones and so your chapters will receive the shipments and you can begin distributing them to your members. So, any questions about the grit and distance pin this year?
Great. All right, so we're going to keep going with 2022 planning and dates. Again, this is the time to get your cameras ready or get your calendars out. And again, we'll send these dates and things out in a follow-up email, but if you want to go ahead and put those on your calendar. The first thing to start with is that we are, is the COVID policy for the program where we are. And as we continue to move forward, it will stay on our COVID-19 response page. And so it is the same as it has been for the last about 9 months or so. Yeah, since March of this year, I believe. And that is still valid today. And so that'll continue to stay updated through 2022 as if anything changes or shifts again. The 2022 temporary training policies are also on the website as well. And I'll drop that link into the chat now. That's that chapter documents page, and you'll see it is the second link on the page there. And the 2021 annual meeting, I should say 2021 annual meeting recording sessions can be watched until April of 2022. That's where it says recently updated. And then TMN Tuesdays are tied to the calendar year. So 2021 TMN Tuesdays and Be the Change are valid through the end of December 31st, 2021. So they are tied to the calendar year. And that is also, again, on that updated temporary training policy document that's on the website. Will those recordings be available until April, or do they turn into pumpkins in 90 days? Bruce, they will turn into pumpkins after 90 days on the CVent website, and then we're going to move them to a different platform, and we're still working on figuring that out and sending that out. So they should be available until April, and what they look like and where they're found is still in progress. Okay. Okay, spring 2022 training press release. Cameron, our student worker, is working on this, and she ran into a little bit of a tech glitch late last week. So she should have this out middle of this week, if not by the end of this week. So she'll be sending out the request for any spring training dates or training classes that you may be hosting. You can either go ahead and send that to her or wait for her to send you the link to the Naturalist News form that she's putting together so that you can just automatically add your chapter's information to the website. If you are hosting a spring training, if you'll drop your chapter name in the chat, that'll help us to give Cameron a list of where to start, but she'll send it out to all chapter presidents as well. And if you are hosting a spring 2022 training, Let us know if your plans are to stay with an in-person model, a hybrid model, or a virtual model. Excellent. Okay. Michelle, there's a question in there for you about the grit pin. It's getting lost as it's going up. You're muted though. You're still muted. You don't know how to oh, she has no audio now. It's awesome. The technology today is just not working for us, y'all. Okay. She's trying to figure out what's going on. So while she's doing that, I'm going to keep going. Michelle, thank you. If you'll just answer that question in the chat. Jumping ahead, we'll talk about regional Webex accounts for your spring 2022 training and the OWLs that we have available as well. But I've got slides on those here in just a little bit that we're going to get to. Okay. Next question that we have for you guys. We talked about this during our president's meeting, and we got some feedback about the timing of our chapter presidents and advisors monthly meetings. We have dates set. We're going to keep on the second Tuesday, the last week of the month, but we're moving them from Mondays to Tuesdays to stay in line with all things TMN Tuesday. And that helps us to just kind of keep Tuesdays as a consistent point in the calendar rather than or in the week. If 1 o'clock works better for you, or if moving it to a noon time frame to be able to move over the lunch hour works better, if you'll drop that in the chat, I'll pull the report on the chat at the end of the session today, and let us know if 1 o'clock for president's meeting or noon Central Standard Time works better for Tuesdays for chapter president's meetings. Okay, I see a little bit of both. And what I'll do is I'll go through the chat afterwards, and I'll count how many for either one. And then I'll send out an email with all of that. We are going to keep this Zoom format, even though that it's not working for us today. We're gonna persevere through Zoom, and we're gonna keep the Zoom format and send out the links ahead of time for y'all as well. These are the dates though that we have set for 2022 chapter presidents and advisors meeting. I shortchange it by calling it just presidents meetings, but it is both chapter presidents and advisors that are invited to these meetings. Oh, Stephen makes a great point that we should ask what time frame works best when next year's presidents are on. That's a good suggestion too. Oh, Michelle says that she has the black screen of death. Awesome. Do you want to leave and shut down and come back? Okay. Nope, she's trying. All right, we're just going to keep going. So y'all get just me today. TMN Tuesdays. These are our dates for TMN Tuesdays for 2022. We have all of these dates set for the whole calendar year. This is the second Tuesdays. We will keep this at the noon hour moving forward throughout the next 12 months. We are going to kick off 2022's TMN Tuesdays with a state of the program, similar to what we did this year, where Michelle and I can talk to the whole membership about kind of where we are as a program. You guys will be familiar with many of the points that we talk about, but this is a way for us to talk to the entire program membership. You'll notice, and I'm going to toggle back and forth, that the July and the December dates are the same. July and the December date for President's Meeting and for TMN Tuesday are the same, just how it works out. We're going to keep those dates, and we're going to turn those single weeks or those meetings into kind of an open leadership call with both presidents and general members. Our ideas currently are to have The TMN Tuesdays chapter presidents meeting in July be about training class best practices and focus on that chapter management idea. The idea for case studies or for December is to do kind of a case studies on board retreats as our TMN Tuesday and our chapter presidents meeting in December. Bruce asks why no June presidents meeting? And we typically take July and June and we smush them together and maybe make a summer presidents meeting. It's what we've done for the last couple of years that we've had these as folks take vacations and whatnot over this summer. Okay. Any questions on these dates? Thank you, Bruce. All right, I'm going to keep going. Some more dates and things to that we're planning for 2022. We are planning a Be the Change workshop. We're looking at early April, tentatively that first week in April for one of those days. We've got a calendar request out to a couple of different speakers that we have in mind for that. And once we hear from their calendars, the best dates, we will confirm with you guys. She has absolutely no controls or access to chat. Awesome. Sorry, Michelle. I'm going to keep going though. So Be the Change workshop, spring 2022. Again, we're working towards the first week of April as our plan. Michelle is working to put together a survey, and I are working together to put together a survey that'll go out the week after Thanksgiving, asking feedback on topics, resource needs, training requests for this Be the Change workshop, so that we can try and build some of that in to this Be the Change workshop in April. We are going to keep the format virtual for the sake of travel and cost. And if there are other things that you see or hear along the way, you can either answer those in the survey when we get to that point in 2 weeks, or you can send those to Michelle or I at any point as well. And it will be available as a recording. As we've done with all of our Be the Change initiative programs, we will record it and post it to the website afterwards as well. Great questions. Okay, I'm going to keep going unless y'all throw questions into the chat. Virtual volunteer fair. We heard loud and clear that you guys are excited and interested in having another virtual volunteer fair. We are currently, Michelle and I both have a hold on our calendar, both the last week of April and the first week of May. So we're targeting those 2 weeks. It will not be a 2-week date range, but it'll be probably a 2-day program similar to the one in the spring, where it was the morning hours of a Tuesday, Wednesday, or a Wednesday, Thursday. So either the last week of April, first week of May, if you guys will put some holds on your calendar for that, and let your folks know that those dates will be coming. I hope to have those dates ready to send to you guys by December, mid-December or so. Okay, any questions on virtual volunteer fair? Need to offer more opportunities available all the chapters. Absolutely. And part of the virtual volunteer fair is recruiting new partners to showcase their project needs. And that's where we'll need your help to make sure that we're connecting and communicating to those partners that do have statewide offerings for volunteer projects that all chapters can participate in. So we will be the showcase point for any projects that need volunteers. But we need those people who need volunteers to know that we are hosting these types of events. Okay. City Nature Challenge is late April, early May too. So we've got to make sure that we keep that off of those dates. Thank you for the reminder. It's going to be a busy spring. Okay, so moving on to other chapter resources to kind of round out our meeting here, because I do recognize that we're getting close to that hour mark. Our regional Webex accounts, we are keeping these for 2022. Michelle has actually been monitoring those regularly and checking on the storage loads for all of our regional Webex accounts and the use loads for those. And it looks like everything's working well. If you are using those regional Webex accounts, you may continue to plan to use those throughout the calendar year of 2022. Michelle is still going through each of those accounts on a monthly basis and deleting recordings. So if you have meetings that you are recording on there, please download them, put them on your YouTube or put them somewhere, because at the end of each month or so, Michelle is going through and deleting those to clear for storage space on those accounts. General reminders about those Webex accounts, they are regional based, so multiple chapters use them. So please do not change the account name or the picture for those accounts, as they are shared by multiple chapters. And then, as always, since it is a shared platform, shared account, check the calendar before setting any new meetings. If your chapter still, if your chapter wants to reinvest in using the regional Webex accounts, reach out to Michelle and the VMS team, and they can get you set up to share those, to share the login for those regional Webex accounts. Okay. Okay, so some more statewide resources, our TMN WordPress website. Some really exciting news for your WordPress website managers. AgriLife First Call is hiring a website support specialist. This has been something that has been long needed since their reshuffle of staff last year during the pandemic. So they have a job posting right now for a web support specialist that will essentially be doing a lot of what Joshua Frazier was doing for us pre-COVID. We've even suggested that they hire him back because he was great. But this is the person that will be hosting monthly trainings for our chapters to attend for WordPress trainings again, very similar to what we've had historically. We're not able to have during the pandemic because of the rift, and hopefully we'll get back into that model again. We will be focused on supporting TMN. This person will be supporting TMN chapter websites and updates, and will be the point of contact for all Master Naturalist and Master Gardeners first call tickets. I heard last week on my call with them that they had 99 tickets opened in a day. So they are over capacity there, and having this support specialist dedicated to just Master Naturalists and Master Gardeners and supporting our volunteer websites is going to be a great relief to that system over there. Okay, I keep going. Meeting owls. I know many of y'all have sent me an email, and I have still yet to put together my formal system, but I am going to be loaning out. We have 10 meeting owls that we will be loaning out to chapters. And it will be a first come, first serve basis for those. And I've got an email pending in my inbox to send out either today or tomorrow that we will use to loan out these meeting owls. I'll pay for the shipping for the owl to get to you with the box and all of the stuffing, and then you just pay for the shipping to send them back to me. I am going to schedule these on a half-year cycle. Hopefully that will help to overlap your basic training classes. So if you are going in a hybrid or a virtual format for your basic training, you can use these to create that kind of engaging experience for your virtual and your in-person attendees. My plan is to mail out the first wave of these in December, use period January through June, mail them back June, early July, and then the second half will be mailed out in July, use July through December, and mail back in December of 2022. So there's an email in my inbox that is waiting for me to figure out one more little piece, and then I will send that out to you guys. Okay. I feel like I'm going through fairly quickly now, but it is right at that hour mark. Michelle, the slides on my screen, if you cannot see them, are the CMOP update. Can you still not unmute?
The slides aren't changing any longer.
Awesome.
You're stuck on the TMN WordPress website.
I don't know what's happening with Zoom, y'all. I really don't. I feel like it just decided to go today. So we will be sharing these slides. I will be putting this out on the internet, and I will have to send you guys a big follow-up email. So y'all still don't see anything? No. Okay. Well, I'm going to talk about the next
Still
slide.
see Yoda.
Well, I'm glad I put that funny meme in so that y'all can smile. I seriously, I have 3 more slides and then this is it. So I'm going to talk through them if that's all right with you guys. And then I will put everything on the website and get you out of here in an hour. So the next couple of slides we had planned to talk to you about are the CMOP update. Michelle sent that out on Friday last week. A big thank you to Chris Morrison and Lori Buffum for helping to review all of your input and put that together. If you have questions about that, Michelle has those. Michelle sent that email out on Friday at I think about 3 o'clock. So check your inbox for that email. And that's got all of the details about the CMOP and the restructure in that email as well. If you have questions about the CMOP, please email Michelle or myself and we will try to answer those as we can. I'm still scrolling through slides here, y'all, and you can't see anything. The next couple of slides that I had talks about TMN merchandise. We talked about this in the, I believe it was in the September president's meeting, kind of where to get everything. I am planning to do a big restock in the bookstore of shirts and hats and things next month. So there should be more merchandise for your spring training classes in early 2022. And then our curriculum, as always, is on the website, and that's on this slide that you're not seeing right now either. That's amazing. Okay, and that is the bulk of the program today, y'all. We had one more slide that asked if there were any other questions, but I don't even know if you can send me chat questions at this point. Michelle says no. So I sincerely apologize about the technology issues today. I don't know what Zoom is doing. I'm sure it's updating in the background, and wheels are spinning and mice are running or something. I will have these slides on the website within the hour. I will send you an email once the bullet points are up, and I apologize. I don't know what's going on.
Mary,
next-
there are 2 questions in the chat that maybe you can just answer.
Okay.
One is somebody asking if there will be larger sizes available in the clothing.
Oh, yeah, I don't even see that. Thank you. Yes, I can get larger sizes in the clothing. The AgriLife bookstore bulk ordering versus pop-up store is something that we're trying to talk about at the state level. Pop-up stores were our way of functioning during COVID, but restocking the bookstore to host large quantities of items is kind of the way to go moving forward post-pandemic. So yes, I will try to have the sizing available for full range. If you've got specific sizing that you're interested in, and I don't typically include it, please send me an email and I will make sure that I include it on the next round. Thank you, Emily.
Yeah, and then the other question was that, is there any plan to reorder the Junior Master Naturalist pins?
That's a Michelle question, and I see that she is shaking her head no, not at this time. I believe that those pins were originally ordered with some funding that we had that was grant oriented, that was grant funded and allowed us to make that purchase. And I believe she purchased as many as she could at that time. And then when that money ran out, there has not been another source of funds that we've had that allows us to purchase junior pins. Michelle, shake your head if that summarizes it fairly well. Yep. Okay. See, I know her miming now.
I have a question, Mary Pearl.
Yes, ma'am.
The people in my chapter like to have the Heartwood name underneath the logo. And so having the pop-up shop has been really great for us because they're like, oh, look, it even says Harwood. And so I was wondering if it's possible between now and say August of next year to have another pop-up.
I do want to have another pop-up. If I had all the time in the world right now, Carolyn, what I would really like to do is I'd really like to see all of the different items that we have. Michelle and I were talking about this just this morning. I want to go back and look at the last 2-3 years worth of pop-ups and all of the most popular items put in stock or re-pop up and have another pop-up again. So yes, I will put that on the list to make sure that we have customizable shirts again.
Yeah, they really do love that. And this last intern class, I actually bought shirts in bulk that had Heartwood on it for them. And so the older members were saying, why don't we have those? So
Yeah.
they would love to have that.
Okay, I'll make sure that I include that.
Perfect. Thanks, Mary Pearl. I appreciate it.
Yes, ma'am, of course. And I'm completely locked out of my Zoom as well. It's doing the same thing that it was doing on me earlier. So are there other questions, y'all? I cannot see chat either.
We're just chatting about Junior Master Naturalist pins, whether any other chapters have extra pins,
Okay.
and whether it's possible for individual chapters to order directly from whoever made them in the first place.
Okay. That would be a question that maybe Michelle could help to answer when she's able to.
That's fine.
Untechnology. Okay. Yeah, y'all send us that request and we'll definitely try to help.
Perhaps if this is Bruce from Brazos Valley, perhaps if the price isn't that high, a bunch of chapters could get together and put in a bulk order again, or just chip the money into the state and put it toward a bulk order for some more junior naturalist pins, because I know we'd like to get some too.
Okay. Yeah, we can talk about that and see what that looks like and what my nervousness on Junior Master Naturalist anything is that we're restricted at the state level by our grant that funds the program. And so if we push that too close, then it could destabilize some of that for us at the state level. So I don't disagree that there's ways that we can work around that or we can work with that limitation, but Michelle and I will have to talk to our leadership to make sure that we're not getting into too gray of an area there. Good questions. Okay, y'all, I'm gonna call this what it is, a bust, and I will put the notes and I will put the whatever recording is. I don't even know what my recording is looking like at this point, and I will put all of this stuff on the website, like I said, as soon as possible, so that y'all can have what I have in front of me. Thank you guys for your patience today, and I will see you December 13th. We'll send out that notice to share with your incoming chapter leadership as well.
Thanks, Mary Pearl. You did a good job. Thanks, Michelle.
Thank
You
y'all.
too.
Have a great day.
Bye, guys.
Oh, see, now it's popped up.
Now you can continue with the meeting.
Now I have chat all over again. Okay. I'm going to stop this recording.